Ancient rooms carved in stone question everything I've known.
Before you buy your first stock, before you choose an ETF, before you invest in Bitcoin, and before you trust someone else's prediction, take your first steps. StepStocks makes investing easier to understand. One practical lesson, one relevant idea, and one decision at a time. This is not about getting rich quickly. It is about building knowledge, confidence, and a system that can compound over time. Follow the free learning series on StepStocks. Pull up a chair. Let's begin.
Now it's time to set things right.
You do not need to understand everything today. You need one next step. That may be reviewing your debt, building an emergency reserve, opening the right account, increasing an automatic contribution, or simply learning one idea well enough to explain it in your own words. You might ask yourself, why should I bother investing? I don't mean, what stock should I buy? I mean something more basic. If I work for my money, pay my bills, keep some savings, and try not to spend too much, why should I risk that money in markets at all? Before we talk about how much to invest, I think we should answer that. So I asked the AIEA team to help me make the case and challenge it. Maybe we can start simply. Money can do different jobs. Some of it pays for my life today. Some of it protects me against things I know or don't know are coming. And some of it can be put to work for the future. Spend, save, invest. Sage, are saving and investing really that different?
Yes. Saving is primarily about preserving money and keeping it available. Investing means accepting some uncertainty in exchange for the possibility of future income or growth. Neither is automatically better. They have different jobs.
That sounds a lot like the journey we planned in our last episode. If I need the money soon, protecting it may matter more than growing it. If my destination is many years away, I may have more time to accept some bumps along the way.
Which is a very polite way of saying, sometimes markets fall off cliffs.
They do, and we're coming back to that. But first, there's another problem with simply putting money away. Mehrthan, what happens if I simply save $1 and leave it there for 20 years?
You will still have $1. The more important question is, what will that dollar buy?
Inflation.
Exactly. Prices change over time. If prices rise faster than the return on your savings, the number of dollars you have may remain the same, while their purchasing power declines.
That does not make cash bad. Cash provides liquidity, available and on hand, and stability. Emergency savings need those qualities. The mistake is expecting one financial tool to perform every job.
And cash has one particularly attractive feature. It doesn't normally fall 30% because somebody on Wall Street had a bad Tuesday.
Which brings us to the obvious question. If investing can lose money, why take the risk?
Because investing can allow you to participate in productive economic activity. When you work, you exchange your time and ability for income. When you invest, you can use some of that accumulated income to acquire ownership or financial claims on productive assets.
So there are two different relationships here. Work creates income. Ownership creates participation.
Yes. Depending on the investment, ownership can provide exposure to business profits, economic growth, interest, rents, or other forms of productive activity. But ownership also means accepting risk. There is no guarantee that the asset will become more valuable.
Then maybe one reason to invest is this. My past work gets the possibility of continuing to work after I've been paid for it.
That is a useful way to think about it. Your labor creates income. Saving preserves some of it. Investing gives some of that accumulated income the opportunity to participate in future economic activity.
And this is where we hear a word constantly in investing: compounding. But rather than just saying compounding is powerful, let's actually look at what it does. Suppose someone begins with a small regular contribution, maybe $25 each week. At first, almost everything in the account came directly from them: their work, their contributions, their savings.
But if those investments earn positive returns over time, those returns can themselves remain invested. Future returns may then be earned on both the original contributions and previous gains. That is compounding.
So early in the journey, I'm doing most of the work. But given enough time and positive returns, the accumulated capital can begin doing more of the work too.
With an important warning: compounding is mathematics. The return assumption is not. Actual investments fluctuate. Returns are uncertain, and some investments lose money permanently.
So whenever we show an example, we should say exactly what it is: an illustration, not a forecast.
Excellent. Because I have several objections. What happens when markets crash? What happens when the company I own fails? What happens during a recession? What if I invest right before a terrible decade? And why does every investing chart seem suspiciously happier when you start it far enough in the past?
Mirthan?
Those are legitimate questions. Investing involves uncertainty. Different assets have different risks. Individual businesses can fail. Markets can experience severe declines. Inflation can damage real returns. And the period over which someone invests matters enormously.
So investing isn't automatically better than saving.
Correct. And that is why we started our journey with destination and time. Money needed for an emergency next month should not necessarily be exposed to the same risks as money intended for retirement decades from now.
Back to our river. Not every dollar needs to run the rapids. Some belong safely at the dock. Some may take the portage, and some has enough time to travel much farther. So, why should I bother investing? I think I have my answer. I invest because I can't work every hour forever. Saving protects some of what I've already earned. Investing gives another portion of it the opportunity to participate in future economic activity. Sometimes those investments will fall. Sometimes they will disappoint. There are no guaranteed returns, and money I need soon may not belong there at all. But over a sufficiently long journey, productive ownership gives my past labor the possibility of contributing to my future. Maybe that is the real transition. Not from poor to rich, not from beginner to market expert, from earning everything through my own time toward gradually owning productive assets alongside it, a little at a time, while continuing to learn. Which leaves me with a much more practical question. If I decide investing belongs somewhere in my journey, how much? $5? $50? 10% of my pay? There probably isn't one answer that works for everyone, so perhaps we need another way to think about it. What would 4 hours of my pay look like? That's where we're going next. Pull up a chair. You're always welcome at our table.
I seek a path within my soul, through ice and fire beyond control. Every step I thought would save